This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Okay, so with the cancellation of Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte due to the adverse finding for VADA that was tested on Dillian Whyte, the question naturally leads to what happens with the show next weekend. So only 1 week to go. Does the show still go ahead without Anthony Joshua? Or does Anthony Joshua get a new opponent? Apparently Eddie Hearn is looking at the option for a new opponent, but we'll have to wait and find out. I'm sure we'll find out maybe today, tomorrow, whenever. Now, when it comes to what Anthony Joshua is going to do and what I think he's going to do and what he should do, I'll touch on in a minute. But let's go through the usual. Of course, it's a case of, will they bring in somebody who's not on the card? Because that way, obviously, you've got a case of, then don't have to find opponents for anybody if you pull them from the same card, i.e. a Chisora, Herkovich, whoever. Now, the usual stand-in opponent for Anthony Joshua, should a fight fall apart, has always been Cash Ali, or has been for the last couple of fights. Eddie Hearn don't know that I know about that, do you, boy? No, you don't. Cash Ali has always been the stand-in opponent. So had Jermaine Franklin, had that fight fell apart, Cash Ali would have fought. Had the rematch with Alexander Usyk have fallen apart, Cash Ali would have been the opponent for Anthony Joshua, okay? But obviously, Cash Ali lost his last fight only a week or two ago. So that clearly can't be on the table now, can it? Well, very unlikely at least. All right. So, as I said, obviously people will look at, well, who's on the card then? Well, you got Derek Chisora versus Gerald Washington. Could he fight one of them two? Could he fight a Filip Herkovich or Dempsey McKean? Johnny Fisher and Harry Armstrong, also heavyweights. Now, as far as him fighting, say, for example, one of them, then obviously you have to find a replacement opponent for the other one, okay? But let's look at Derek Chisora to start with. Now, Derek Chisora, of course, if Anthony Joshua were to fight him, would that keep the headline? Yeah, of course it would, because obviously Derek Chisora's got a big fan base, Anthony Joshua's got a big fan base, and they've never fought each other, okay? So to keep the show alive, that would be a good move, of course it would. Also, it's a good business move as well, because Anthony Joshua will obviously get paid, Derek Chisora will obviously get paid, and Derek Chisora's management team, 258 Management, i.e. Anthony Joshua, will also get a cut of Derek Chisora's purse. Okay, so it's a good business move for Anthony Joshua, isn't it, to fight his client? All right. Filip Herkovich? Well, Filip Herkovich is, of course, the IBF mandatory challenger, so that will be a smart thing to do from one perspective, because you fight Filip Herkovich, you beat Filip Herkovich, then you are up next for the winner of Usyk and Dubois. When I did an interview with Kalle Sauerland a couple of weeks back there, he said there's no way Filip Herkovich is stepping aside. So what you do is, you fight Filip Herkovich, you beat Filip Herkovich, then you're next in line for the winner of Usyk Dubois, right? So that would be a smart thing to do, but it's only 1 week to go. Is it a smart thing to do? Well, it's a very dangerous fight with only 1 week to go. To fight someone like a Herkovich, you need a proper camp. You do, to prepare for Herkovich. Yes, he's an orthodox fighter, for sure. But there again, would Filip Herkovich want to fight Anthony Joshua? Yeah, possibly. Obviously, it's good money. But at the same time, he's been preparing for Dempsey McKean, who's a southpaw. So is that a good idea for Filip Herkovich's perspective? Sometimes finances outweigh what's logical, right? Okay. Now, could he fight, say, Dempsey McKean? Well, again, he's a southpaw. So with only 1 week to go, is that a good idea to fight southpaw? Now, what I think Anthony Joshua should do is not fight anyone. With only 1 week to go, and Eddie Hearn, listen up, Sam, listen up. Don't let that money head of yours get in the way and cloud your judgment like it did last time that Anthony Joshua required a last-minute opponent. When he chose Andy Ruiz Jr., some of you will remember, I did videos on it back then. I was saying that could be potentially a dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua on short notice. Andy Ruiz Jr. has literally just had a fight, so he's fighting fit And he's got lightning fast hands. Don't be surprised if Andy Ruiz Jr. causes Joshua a lot of problems in this fight. Ultimately, he did, and he beat Anthony Joshua. Granted, he got him back in the rematch, but you get my point. Eddie Hearn, use your head in this one. Okay? Unless Anthony Joshua is going to fight I don't say a guaranteed win. It's a heavyweight division. No fight is 100% guaranteed, but pretty much guaranteed. Go fight a Manuel Char. Go fight a Trevor Bryan. Pretty much guaranteed wins, right? He can look spectacular. He'll get the win. Anthony Joshua's still the headline. The Zone's still happy. But if I'm Anthony Joshua, I'm not fighting anyone. I want to sit there. I want to train. And I'm going to look for Deontay Wilder in Saudi. Whenever that's going to take place, whether it be December, January, February, whenever. That's the fight you look at. What's the point? What's the point in taking a risk with only 1 week to go? With only 1 week to go, it's not ideal for anyone. Especially when you've been preparing for a certain style, such as Dillian Whyte. Unless you can get a carbon copy of him, I wouldn't do it. Some people say, well, Derek Chisora is pretty close to it. But Anthony Joshua loves Derek Chisora. Is he going to go in there and bash him around? No, I wouldn't have thought so. Would Derek Chisora want to bash Anthony Joshua around? You wouldn't have thought so, but Derek Chisora will probably try and do it, let's be honest. But anyway, for me, if I'm Anthony Joshua, I'm fighting no one. The show can still go ahead. It can still go at the O2 Arena. Obviously, you've still got Filip Pokovic versus Des McKean. Very good fight. You've got Derek Chisora and Jared Washington. Again, it's a end-of-the-line kind of fight, if you like, and one that Derek Chisora should win. Or maybe Anthony Joshua should fight Jared Washington, right? Obviously, you've got Malik Scott in his corner. Malik Scott is also the trainer for Deontay Wilder. He can get a front row ticket to see how Anthony Joshua is in person when he's in the opposing corner for Jared Washington to help him prepare to go then train Wilder for the same Anthony Joshua. Anyway, for me, Anthony Joshua, sit tight, son. Don't fight anybody. I wouldn't go fight anybody right now. The show can still go ahead. If not, move the fighters to a week or two later on some other cards. However, I know some people will be quite upset because obviously they've booked trains, they've booked hotels and all that kind of thing. But obviously, as I've said before, when it comes to fight nights, it's boxing. No guaranteed fights are going to take place. Never 100% guaranteed. Hopefully, you booked insurance for your tickets, for your hotel, to get your money back so you can cancel it, no problems, to get your money back from the train. However, hopefully you did. If you didn't, well, what can you do? So anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.